lot of sessions relating to early childhood. And everywhere, if you have noticed, there's at one point at least, like there's an early intervention that keeps coming in. So I don't have any presentation. I don't have any fact data or anything to give, but I've been working with children last 25 years, and there are enough number. I've been running an inclusive school also, where some people find it difficult, but since I'm interested, I was doing it. But as rightly people said in the previous session, it is not so easy to do it, and it's nice that they accept it, and they don't do injustice to the children. So what I'm going to talk about today is my experiences, how it has helped people, where it has helped, and what it is. So, as I told, I've been handling children from mm, 2008, uh, especially with the special needs children. So it's not only that I take in the school, I'm also a person to counsel. By the way, I'm a counseling psychologist specializing in child psychology, and I'm also into criminology and psychological autopsy. So my main focus interest is child psychology, and I work with CWC, the Child Welfare Committee, where the sexually abused children are rescued, trafficked children we take and we counsel them. So that is what is a little bit about me. And when it comes to experiences, I'm sharing my experiences. I'm not here to, I'm just going to tell stories to you. So that might give you some spark, like how the early intervention helps. So here we had a lot of children. So one of the child was always crying. She came to us when she was 1.5 years, and she was always crying. So the parents, both of them, are doctors. Unfortunately, the grandfather was a child specialist, pediatrician. But then when the child came in, it was so difficult. They didn't know what it is. And as such, when they went to the doctors, they said it is something related to autism, and they started tablets. The actually speaking, the child started getting worse. So when they came at 1.5 years, she will go, either she'll cling on to me or one of my teacher. She'll always be in the lap. Sheetal is here, probably she will know that child. So she used to cling on to Viji, my teacher. So it's been going on and on and on, and then like we were patiently handling the child. But one fine day we realized the child had no other difficulty, nothing. The parents, the mother particularly being a doctor, she left the profession to take care of this child. And we said like she'll always be in a worry, tension, and crying, all that. Will my child become all right? Because those days, 2008 and all, autism was not really getting up too much. But actually, we felt that child is not having any issue, it is something else. So it took about 8 months for us to really analyze, intervene, try, test. If you find the child, somebody spoke about in the morning, the fan sound, that the child had a low frequency intolerance. So whenever the TV is on, whenever the music system is on, she'll get triggered. And the whole day she will have the trauma. So she couldn't handle it at all. Then we said like, morning, please don't play anything. Send her for few days. Don't give certain food. Send her, then we'll see how it helps. Believe me or not, this year she has completed 12th grade, and she has won many awards, and she has presented something to the president also now. So that is how powerful the early intervention is. But if those days, if the parent did not have that patience, somebody to leave their profession, come and attend, and listen to what is, and even I have to be telling this, my teachers had the patience to handle it, and they were equipped to handle it. That is very important. Similarly, I had a case where this might be very surprising or thrilling, or like a story which I'm telling. We have helped somebody to, come out of suicide trauma. So the child had a lot of issues. So many times the child will have, she will not be in a form. She'll always be lost, all that. But we didn't know what it is. The child has been, then when she started after a year she started talking, and they started again. The autism was a very fancy word then, so everybody will brand them as autism, autism, autism. So the child was very, very quiet, and she'll not talk to anybody. Whenever we speak, she'll look at us. When we smile, she'll smile. But the moment we look at her, she'll bend down. After that, the head will never lift up. So slowly she started talking to us after 6 months. Then she said one day, slowly when we start talking, we realized that the child did not have any autism or anything. The child has been seeing her mother doing something to commit suicide. So she told that to us, to the teacher. But that we were very confident that the child didn't have any kind of special needs issue. That helped a lot. So that way we could speak to the father, call the father, speak. She was going through a post pregnancy issue, which was worse. But then, we could help it out. But eventually, if you see, the child was the victim there. The child was considered to be having some issue and things like. And in another case, um, some parents, some cases are very visible, like your cerebral palsy or Down syndrome. All these are visible. You cannot really do anything. One of the parents, this is a very sad story for me at least. We've been telling the child cannot do anything. Please don't push. They've been pushing, 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 but wrong interventions. It's not only the identifying and intervening, finding out whether the child has some issue or not. But then, like trying to make an abnormal child, the so-called abnormal child, to become the defined normal child is very, very bad. We have to make the parents understand. And that one case, I find myself a failure. Seriously, because the parent fought. We tried for 2 years. We couldn't do anything. And then after 3 years, one fine day, I got a call from the speech therapist, and then she said, like, the child is no more, ma'am. He drowned in the swimming pool because they wanted him to wear weights, which even you and me cannot do. So that weight, so that the energy comes down, and then with the weights, they do the swimming for OT. And that, the child on that particular day, he drowned. So that way, early intervention is something very, very important. But only thing is, as you're all educators here, if you are not having any kind of expertise or knowledge, please do not give names, brands, tags, because that is what I've been seeing in many schools. They do that. They start a school. I'm sorry, how many of you are from the profession? I don't know. Many of, as far I know, when they call me for training programs and things like, many of them leave their BPO job, take a franchisee, call them child psychologists, and start running a school, start giving advertisements, advice to the parents. It is not a child's play. So this is very, very dangerous. And again, when the teachers, they diagnose some problem, like you always have Google, you get to know certain terminologies, and they start talking to the parents that when we are conveying something also, is it conveyed properly to the parent is very important. That when that conveying is not happening, then it is going to be even more difficult. Only when you are a professional, you can convey it in the right way to the parent, because it is an emotion, it is a sensitive thing. Nowadays, every parent has one child or maximum two. But what happens when that child is precious to me, if it's my child? Similarly, yours or yours for you. And when we go and tell, it is going to be very, very difficult. So the way we convey, way we approach the parents and deliver that is very important. This doesn't have any status or lifestyle, or it doesn't come in the financial status of you, or educational levels of you, everywhere. In fact, I had a driver, lorry driver. He'll be tall and huge, and the wife is also tall and huge. And it so happened they had no other person to take care. So 9th month they wanted me to take care. They begged, and also for certain categories I had a separate setup, like to take care. So we found the child's behavior a little different from the beginning. So we observed for about 3 months, and it was very evident that the child has got some issue. The mother and father, whenever we ask something, they will not tell anything. While sleeping, the child will have lot of dispose from the mouth. The water will come. It was very difficult for us to handle, and we were like concerned about the child. When we went and asked, they couldn't do anything, they couldn't accept. Literally, the father sat and cried to me. So you mean to say my child is mentally sick? So we just wanted them to do the diagnosis. But then later we intervened. Then we came to know the birth. During the birth, there were some issues, and after that, the child had issues. So many things. We handholded them literally because they are not from that so-called layer where they can understand. And now the child is in Kendriya Vidyalaya, Chennai. So like that. And similarly, in another case, this is the other side I'm telling. Another case, when you see both the parents are PhDs, they work in the best college in Chennai. They had a child. When they came in, it was all fine, but the child was not normal. The mother did the child was also a late child. So the mother had the child when she was doing her PhD. So all of a sudden, after 2 years, when she wanted to move the child to the regular K-12 schools and things like, she was not getting any admissions. So she came. We tried telling them in the beginning, like, this is this, this is this. They agreed for certain points and they did not agree for certain points. Then what happened? One fine day, she came to me. She went. They went to the regular school. Somehow they got some recommendations and they joined. And one fine day, she came to me saying that now the father wants the school principal. The father wants me to shift him to another school or a special school. And I said, no, the child definitely doesn't need a special school. Only thing is, you are not helping me out something, because we've been telling last 2.5 years that something is wrong with the child. So eventually she spoke. After that, we found out that this mother is actually a PhD in chemistry. So she has been in the labs throughout her pregnancy. Some specific chemical, which I really don't want to mention what it is and all, that she has been inhaling, and that has affected the children. So that we found out, and that we try to understand which. But again, this child was also considered as autistic. So what happens when you term that particularly ASD or ADHD, they start with tablets. But if you keenly observe what could be the problem, where we can address, what we can do, that will definitely help. But this is not an easy process. As Mr. Preetham rightly said, I am not equipped to do it. That's better to do, not saying that, yeah, I will take, just for the sake of taking admission and then giving them. But do it when you know it. But early intervention is very, very important, because even if a mild change, if you're finding it, ask them to go and consult the right professional so that they can really help you out. I have students who come from US, Australia, and New Zealand just for 2 years, because they don't take there in US and all. If you have slide this thing, again, you must be knowing they'll all ask them to go to the schools. Recently, I have, maybe 3 years back, I had a child who came in and he was 5 years. So they had put it in a school, another school. Every day he was getting complaint. The mother was so upset, having left the other son there, family there, coming here for this child, taking up a house, and somehow suddenly somebody had referred and we came in. But in the school where they joined initially, every day the child was told, your child is not normal, mentally ill. This mother was totally upset. But then when they came, it was all fine. Again, the child had a different issue with regard to the sound, with regard to the vision. Like certain colors, certain objects irritates. So when that kind of a thing happens, we'll have to find out. For that, we really need that patience. You have to be a keen observer. When you observe, it will happen. It doesn't take too much of time for you, but the moment that whatever that 5 minutes or 10 minutes when you observe, that will automatically help you in getting that feel whether the child has got real problem. The real problem is very different, but this is where you can say that whether it can be addressed, cured, and brought back to a certain kind of so-called normalcy. Is it possible or not? Yes. How many of you think that you are all normal? I would say that I wouldn't have been considered, if I am born now, I wouldn't have been considered as a normal person at all. I will always say that I'll be called as an ADHD child. Definitely, because that is how I am. So somebody is connected with me in my Insta or something like that, they'll say, the other side of you is this. Here you're jumping, dancing. Here you're writing quotes. This side you're. So what? I don't want to be into one bracket saying that, yeah, this is me, I'm very professional. No. But this is the. But why I'm telling is the child is also like that. They would want to do so many things. When we saw, I had a person here sitting. Like, he wanted somebody to take it and he gave. I said, you come. The command. It's the nature. So it's not nothing wrong, but everyone are different. So when we ourselves cannot put ourselves into normalcy, now the new other term has come, adult ADHD. Yeah. So that is also, like it is all ways of making money, or getting into some profession and all that. But is it really there, or can we address ADHD? How many? Do you have any ideas of any special thing? Like, I don't want to go deep into. Do you have any idea how we can address ADHD? Yeah. No, not only that. How can we just attend to them? Okay. Anybody else? You just need to divert sometimes. When we divert, see, we had a very inclusive lifestyle in the past, which we are all missing now. The so-called apartments, and where we don't have the space for the child to go out and play and all that. And even games, what we play only uh, mobile games, or something. I don't even get a Xbox or whatever it is, the game consoles. I don't know. But then, how many of the, even verbally, how many of us speak? So, being a Tamilian, we always had something or the other. Like, I'm sure other languages will also have. So we had something like koru koru kanne kannin taye taye mekum gaya, like that. It is continue. It's one thing, in a way it is a tongue twister. So it makes sure that if there is any speech delays or something like that, it helps. But how many of us do that now? Again, when it comes to this, there was a child who came from South Africa. So this child was again branded as ADHD with ASD. But unfortunately, the child had only a tongue tie. It just needed a cut and then a small surgery for 5 days. Now I think he's in the second year of college. That old is the story. So it is just. See, typically when you say, the sugar in the brain is called ADHD, or sugar in the brain is called autism, is what we generally talk about. But can we control it? See, all these things can happen even during the delivery. If a forceps delivery, or the delivery when it happens, if it's a C-section, where some kind of pressure, loss of water, all that, while cutting umbilical cord, there also problem happens. That also affects the child. So many things. So, and even the C-sections, when they undergo a surgery, undergo the injection and the spinal cord, the mother gets affected, the child gets affected. But that requires a particular time to recover. Like how, a viral fever will go in 2 days, whereas a malaria and typhoid has its own thing, span of time. So like that, we need to give that time. But what happens is, we are trying to put the child into the particular bracket, saying this, this, this. And what is this? I generally tell my other clients who come in for counseling, I think I have a problem, okay? So I always tell, when you see somebody who is mentally sick, and they keep smiling or laughing, we'll see, ayyo pavam, something is wrong with this man, so he's continuously laughing. Don't look at that. From that point of view, just see that. That man will be thinking, ayyo pavam, what, this person has got a problem. She's always sad. So it is always the other side. So that way we cannot do that. But we'll the normal, the code of having normal is very different. But what we have been doing is we are trying to put it into that. That is the issue. And when we it is not definitely possible when you say like individual learning plans, but we can always suggest individual learning plans in an inclusive environment, provided the teacher is equipped and she has that interest and knowledge to learn. Not only IT sector is a continuous learning process. Today I know C++, tomorrow I don't know Java, means I'm out of job, nothing like that. Here also you have to have that continuous learning. 10 years, 15 years back, what we spoke about ADHD and ASD is not here today. It is much more classified and much more divided and so many things. So why, as I told from the morning, whenever, whatever sessions, there was at least one mention of early intervention. When I think Manav Rachna, she was also mentioning. So everywhere there was a mention. Even in Priya's thing, critical thinking. Don't you think all the children are critical thinkers? And are we not putting them into a box and asking them to think only in that? And then call them, if they think out of the box, we make them, we feel that they are not normal. So as recent as yesterday, when I was traveling here, the seat before me, the man in the center seat who was sitting, continuously, I wanted to ask him what is your problem, but luckily I did not, from Mumbai to Jaipur. He was opening, closing the foot throughout. Only when the announcement comes, he will write with the fingers. He will write the finger. Otherwise, this is an issue actually. Do we really need to put him into a bracket and say that he's got some problem? It is hyperactive. They can't sit in one place quietly for some time. I was damn sure that I was waiting for him to break that lock. But luckily he did not break in Indigo. But that's how it is. You would have seen, even you must be doing that. Some habits, not necessarily this, but some habits might be there. So when you see, from my point of view, to conclude, early intervention in any format, whether it is physical or behavioral, emotional, everything is very, very important. Emotional means emotionally strong, emotionally intelligent, physically strong, physically intelligent. It's just behavior also, tantrums, whatever. All that can be channelized one. One last example where, since I mentioned physical, I had a child again, like he came to us when he was 10 months. So he had a different leg. So the bow legs is what we call. So the parents were totally like, no. The doctors had told that so he will walk very indifferently. Like the legs will be like a C shape. We've been noticing, and it was getting worse and worse and worse. And then we said, okay, they were not ready to go to the doctors, and it can be cured at because of that the child was getting irritated and upset, and like he was not able to play with other children and all that. We were just told them this thing. I consulted my other doctor, ortho friend, and then he said, oh, nothing very difficult. Just put the shoes next, ulta karo, make him walk. Literally in 2 years, without surgery, it got corrected. And another exercise for that is when they started seeing little change, they started telling, ma'am, did we not tell it is not required? I said, yeah, okay. You got me a chappal, Now you see the chappal mark, how it is. When you place the leg like this, you will know, na? So now you see what is the. So 6 months, they have not even noticed while setting the child, the chappal was changed. Then we used to make him walk in the sand. That is also one of the very good thing which we can do. Then after understanding that, they started taking them to the beach, make them walk, and then do it. So early intervention in any form, whether it is mental, physical, emotional, behavioral, is very, very important. And we early years people contribute the maximum for that. We are the nation builders for that. Reducing the number of children being branded into some categories, we are the people who are going to make the change. Thank you so much for the opportunity.